Long summer break.
Yeah.
Good summer. I know we almost came back a couple weeks ago, but I know, Rabbi Freedman, you had some other things you were doing. I heard about the amazing story. Rabbi Freedman decided he needed a new cause. And everything was great. He had a great cause. It was going until I think it kind of fell apart at the end. He joined this great cause. There were 3 marches you went to until you find out at the end it was not an Orthodox Jewish organization, Black Lives Matter. It was not. It was not with the clothes. It was not.
I thought it was Black Hats Matter.
It had, but it was a great call. I mean, look, you were out there protesting, everything was good, and then you realized you were in the wrong spot.
Yeah, right.
That's all right.
Okay, listen,
You live and learn, which is good.
Yeah, listen.
So we're back. We're back.
It is.
Now, I got to tell you, Rabbi Freedman, I just got back. I was at a wedding up north, and when I went up north, I visit my northeastern cousins, and I realized they're not really. They have a problem with the whole Orthodox Judaism thing. Mm-hmm. They maybe get the part, okay, there's a God, there's a Big Bang, there's things going on, but why, if there's a Big Bang and you have God, why do we really need to have all these rituals? Do we really mean that we have to wake up in the morning, put our shoe on the right foot first? Why do we have to do this? Why can't we just all come together and be spiritual and do good things? Why? Right. What's the deal with all this ritual? We can't wear the same suit because the wool doesn't match the other wool. What's going on? You can't mate with our stepmother, but she's hot. I mean, come on. All these questions are out there.
And what about the tzitzis? What are you wearing, like fringes on garments for?
Do we meet? I mean, listen, it is 2016. Can't we? Do we have to do all that?
Yeah, it's actually probably even worse than they think.
Oh, really?
Because I don't know if they've actually read the Torah, but if you read the Torah, it pretty much has you covered from the minute you get up, from the minute you're born, really, until the minute you die, and like all circumstances, everything. You build a house, tells you how to do it, tells you what to put on the roof, like this week's Torah portion. You have to put a fence around your roof. You have to put mezuzahs on your doorposts. Wow. Everything. If you come upon a bird sitting on an egg, you have to shoo it away and take the egg.
Your enemy's ox, your neighbor's ox,
all kinds of stuff.
I was controlling.
Tells you how to fight. It tells you how to fight a war. It tells you how to get married. It tells you everything. Everything. It almost it's like suffocating almost.
It really is.
One would say.
It's pretty much. You can't really think for yourself here, do you?
Right. And that actually, although that's a pretty interesting topic too, because most people think, maybe your relatives up north think, that once you're Orthodox, you really don't have to think anymore.
Well, that's
because
true too.
Everything has just been dictated and it's told what to do and all that. But the truth is, it's actually very complex because there's always, every single situation in life is trading off different things, different mitzvahs, different commandments, and different restrictions that are maybe in conflict with each other, because that's the way life is. Everything is not nice and easy and compartmented, but things are often in conflict with each other, and we have to make decisions. But really, I think what you're asking, the question you're really asking is, it's all this stuff that we have to do, all these rituals, all these activities, and all these restrictions and all that. Why? I mean, as a matter of fact, most people's claim or, attack on Orthodox Jews is that they're all about doing all these rituals, but they miss the essence of it. They miss the feeling of it.
You hear that all the time. Can't we just be spiritual? I feel it. I know it. I'm good. I'm a good person. I want to do good. I feel spirituality. Isn't that enough?
You're so busy counting the fringes on the corner of your garment. I mean, like you wouldn't know God if he bit you in the face, right? So you're missing it. Where's the spirit of it? Where's the feeling of it? All I hear is about detail. So there is a major adjustment that's required in order to understand this. Now, let's say I asked you, just off the bat, why do you think they have all these mitzvahs in the Torah? Why do you think God gave you all these, do this, do that, do this, do that?
For me, I would say because, because there are a lot of decisions and choices in life, and you don't want to make the wrong ones. God kind of makes it, he sets out an instruction book that if you go this way, this happens, and if you go that way, this happens. And so, at least it gives you a guiding path on which way to go. It gives you direction, so I don't make a mistake.
Right. And do you think that if you have leather boxes on your arm, and if that leather is made from a kosher animal or a not kosher animal, you think that's going to change a lot about your direction in life?
See, that's what a lot of people would say, and I'm with you. A lot of people would say, you know what? I mean, who says? Why should? Okay, so I couldn't get leather boxes. I got plastic boxes.
Yeah.
Why isn't that good? I can't. I eat stone crabs, but I don't eat hard shell crabs.
Isn't it the thought that counts?
It is.
And how about the crabs? What do you think? Why does God? If I'm a good person and I'm trying to do good, does it really matter if I'm eating a crab or I'm not a crab? It really should be more. I should be more concerned if I'm acting like a crab or not.
Well, and I can tell you, that's the majority of things I hear from my cousins up north. Well, okay, so what's the reason? Why? Why can't I eat crab? Why can't I wear this shirt? Why can't I go here?
Right.
There always is a why. That's going to make me good? Why?
Right.
Who says?
So, so here, there are a couple of ways to understand it on various different levels of our emotional, social, and ethical being. On the one hand, you could say, for example, maybe God said, don't eat crabs because he wants people to be separate. Maybe he wants the Jews to be separate. So he just gave them a bunch of rules that'll make them distinct. Everyone else is eating crabs. You guys can't eat crabs. That way I keep the Jews separate. It's a way of separating them. In which case it's just sort of arbitrary, but it functions. There is perhaps an emotional way of understanding this, that it brings about strength of character. I want to eat the crab. God said, don't eat the crab. Well, I got to do what God says, even though it looks good, even though when I'm going out for crabs, even though I saw them and it looks delicious with the butter on them and all this stuff, but I'm not going to do it. Show self-restraint. Oh, God. Right. So on the one hand, it could be social. It could isolate the Jews, and maybe God wants to isolate it. On the other hand, you could say that develops character, also good, makes me strong. I don't just indulge whenever I want, so on and so forth. Right. I get that, right? On the other hand, maybe there's something that's really not healthy about it. I don't know. I haven't identified that, but maybe God knew there was something unhealthy about it. And all those might be true, and maybe they are probably true. But the overriding concept, and that is summed up by a verse King Solomon said in Proverbs. King Solomon said that every commandment is a candle, and the Torah is light. Every commandment is a candle.
Okay.
Ki ner mitzvah. Every ner is a mitzvah. The light or a mitzvah. A mitzvah is a light. And Torah is, every mitzvah is a candle. And Torah is just light. Now, what does that mean?
What's the difference and what does that mean?
Yeah, well, candle,
sounds
light.
All Kabbalistic or something to me here. I got a little confused.
I think you got it. In other words, sometimes, in order to understand the thing, where all the other, the social, the ethical, the character development, all of those will be true. But ultimately, to get the real overriding answer, under which all of those other answers function, you got to go to the metaphysical thing. Okay. So, light. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a. I mean, there's a lot of things. What light is comparable to this? I don't know. Are we talking about seeing, or are we talking about?
Well, what is light? What does light do?
It allows you to see.
We've got the lights here. That's why you're all seeing us. If they would turn on all these lights, you probably wouldn't get us. I think to quite simply put, enables a person to see. I understand how that works with light bulbs. I understand how that works with the sun. And I understand how it works with flashlights. But, I've got my Torah, and I don't see any light like I hope opened it up. It wasn't like it shined on
No,
me.
that's it.
Matter of fact, to turn on the lights to be able to see the Torah. Where's the light of the Torah?
Good point.
So, the Torah light enables a person to see a different reality. Maybe you could even say in a different dimension or something like that. It enables a person to see things that they otherwise could not see.
Deeper than this. More explanation here.
Okay, so that means that God created this world and He put us all down here in it. The dogs and the cats and the trees and the birds and the bees and all that stuff. And we all have our physical being, and we live in this physical world. We breathe physical air and drink physical water and so on and so forth. And we look around and we see a lot of cause and effect. The grass grows, you mow it, it's gone, right?
Right.
You uproot it, it doesn't grow anymore, and so on and so forth. We understand how the physical world works. There's actually, the physical world lives within a spiritual reality. And that spiritual reality is a whole other world that we believe is going on all around us, all the time, but we don't necessarily see it.
Right.
But if someone were to turn on the light, then we could see that. But right now,
like that ultraviolet light, you see what's really going on.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
But right now, we'll need those goggles, right? That they give that special, because it's there. We just can't see it because it's in the darkness. We need to turn on the light to see what is really going on. Because what we're seeing, what it looks like we're seeing, that's really not what's really happening. We're seeing things going on, but we're not really getting it.
So in everything we're seeing, there's something else really going on behind it.
That's right. That's right. And because the truth is, it looks to us light, but we're actually sort of wandering around in this really dim, and look like God or not, and you turn, you're like, oh, what's that? And then you realize it's just an end table, but it looked like it was a dog, but because it was really dark, So we're really very confused by all this stuff that's around, and we're not seeing. So now, how's God going to turn us on to the light?
That's a toughie.
Yeah.
Has something to do with the Torah, I bet.
Here's where the candle comes in. The Torah is light.
Right.
But each and every commandment is a candle. That means we live in a physical world. The only way that we to grasp the light is through the physical. So God says, I'm going to give you the light. Each and every single thing. Every single thing, situation will have a candle. Just very negative. Don't do that. When it comes to crabs, it's the negative candle. Don't eat it. When it comes to put them as on there.
There's things relate to everything. Okay.
Come up with a situation. Eating, drinking, getting married, going to the bathroom,
stealing,
you name it.
Killing, everything.
War, peace, you name it. Anything you got. There are commandments. The commandments that address it. Building a house, building an office, digging a hole, planting a crop, buying a cat, buying a cow, milking a cow, you name it. Right? You name it.
So single thing we do is up on the doorpost of our house. A candle is lit. It gives a little bit more medical parts.
So what God telling you with your doorpost, your physical clothes, which is a scroll with a cloud of verse in it,
right.
And you need to take a physical hammer and a physical nail, and knock up that is light.
Now, should I be seeing that physical light?
So you should be, and it depends to the extent you do it. And to the extent you when they're succeeding, that's really.
Well, let's say I thought them as a guy, I feel the light, and then I have poor
positive commandments that reveal the light. You got the commandments that nice. So
light.
If you the negatives, and you're not pushers, which makes it an awful lot easier to see on the lights. But so they got something that says that
Right.
I started. Put it on. Turn on the light.
Now does that it's always there? I dim it. More and more and more and more, and they're always there.
Right. So you can light more and more, and hopefully, if you remove more and more and more shades on your sunglasses, so you're putting up the sunglasses at the time. Two things working together, then you should really see some powerful light. But you have to in the way you feel about it. Light is also the type of being. So you got to really be wanting to see the light. Yeah.
So again, this week when I and I drank a cup of wine, there, it's there forever.
Right.
That light's there.
That's right.
The week before.
That's right. Now you might say,
so we just
I didn't notice.
I didn't. I don't know.
Right? It didn't seem to me. Okay. Well, you might not be good at picking up. You might have gotten like a very, very faint light,
right?
And your eyes aren't sharp enough to pick up on that. It's like these guys are looking for like radio waves from Alpha Centauri.
Right.
They get this gigantic radio dish, and they sit there and listen,
right.
and they got all these magnifying, amplifying equipment, and then they hear this little like that you and I. Oh, did you hear that? And if I was listening, or anything,
right.
They really got their ears tuned for it. So if you do it, you hear it better, and of course this is how you get better at it. And you get some people, they get to the point where there's a big light.
So are we then just really a sum total of all the candles and mitzvahs? Is that one?
Yeah, well, to the extent that you have that light,
spiritual well-being is just a sum total of every single time I put the mezuzahs up, every time I lit the candles, or we lit the Shabbos candles. Every time you do it, that's pretty much what we do.
Now you say, like, so what good is seeing this light?
Well, that's going to be my next question.
Yeah.
So what now? I can see the light.
I can see the light. See the light. Right. So what's the big deal about seeing this light? Well, the answer is that this world is pretty crazy, because you can't figure it out.
No, not from what we see. I can give you that.
You can't figure it out. I mean, certainly anyone who's reading the news today, it's a world. It seems scarier every minute.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
But where we going?
Right.
We got people. People are in turmoil because they don't feel that their lives matter. We got the Chinese. There's like a couple billion of them out there, and they seem to want to be like taking over the world. This guy, some Korean guy, shooting off nuclear missiles.
And then we also have some lady that's running for president.
Right.
And some other guy reality star.
And you're looking for leadership, and you're like, leadership? I mean, oh my gosh, nobody. It's horrible. You get like it really, everyone, really, in the whole country should be walking around like with their head hanging low, because it's like for a country of like 350 million people. Like, we can't produce a leader.
And we have two of the most lowest rated things ever.
Right.
Say, wow, God, what's wrong? You have control of your world here.
Right.
But you're saying maybe that's not true.
So when you see it, you actually start to see everything is very ordered. Everything's working towards a plan.
I see that.
It is cruising right down the road. There's a big plan. Everything. when you see the light, the first thing you see is God saying, like, I got it under control. Don't worry, guys. Everything's okay. And you go, oh, thank God. Right. He's got it under control. And once you realize that, like, oh, wow, I feel so much better now.
Well, here's the question. You're a fairly good guy. I've known you to cheat at cards or anything like that. Do you see light? Do you see? Because I don't know who. Is in this like, he's got it under control.
So, here's a problem. Here is a really, really, really big problem. The problem is that if you read the story in the Torah, in the very beginning, God created Adam. And he intended that Adam was going to see the light. Or a way they describe it is that Adam was, every time this light was inside of his soul, as Adam did more and more of these mitzvahs and didn't do any sins, he actually would become translucent. And the light from God and the light of his soul would just sort of connect and become as one. It's a beautiful image. The problem is Adam messed up. And he did the sin with the tree and ate from the tree and the fruit and all that stuff. Adam and Eve, and we all know the whole story. At that point, God said, you know what? Within this existence, I'm not really going to enable anyone to truly, truly become like at one with the light. Everyone in this world is always going to be clothed in a physical existence, and everyone's going to live in darkness. Only after everyone dies, people that earned the light will come back, and they'll be in a much more enlightened state. So that we all are really suffering due to the condition. We are severe limitations. We can get somewhat of the light, but we all suffer from certain in-place, preordained limitations that ultimately we hope to get past.
So those limitations are pretty much, as you know, that Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. That knowledge is pretty much what's blocking us here.
Yes.
Because I'm just seeing the camera right there. I'm just seeing you right here because I have too much to think about. And that's blocking
a lot of blockage. We got a super amount of blockage, and even to the extent some people really do make great strides in the light, they also are dealing with blockage, and other people, like maybe you and I, blockage. And however much we've made strides to try to see some light, there's still an awful lot of blockage there.
Yeah, that's tough. So that's the big issue there. But we're still supposed to keep trying. Our goal is to get rid of as much of that blockage as we can, and that's what our goal is.
Because only to the extent that you've earned light will you ultimately be able to utilize the light. And then there's a great quote that says, the Midrash says that Adam, he had light that enabled him to see from one end of the world to the other. And there was nothing got in the way. He's just limitless.
Wow. And
that's what we all have the potential to do. Perhaps not this time around, but we believe that that's what's coming.
Wow. So that makes it so when someone asks me again in the family, hey, why are you wearing the tzitzis, or why do you can't just have one bite? No one's looking.
Right.
That's just.
So you say, you know what? Because I am trying to bring myself at one with a higher reality that I believe is there. I'm having a hard time grasping, but I believe it's there, and I'm trying to become at one with it. And I know every time I do a negative commandment, it puts me farther away from it. Every time I do a positive, it brings me closer to it. So I'm trying to limit the negatives and amplify the positives.
So truthfully, just to sum up, God kind of makes it easy. Not easy. But at least He puts it all in one little place. I mean, it's hard. None of us, at least no one I know, is able to follow it. We can't follow all 613 of these anyway at this time, but it's hard to not break, to miss a negative mitzvah that we do and hit all the positive mitzvahs. But we all are trying, so it's pretty easy. You got a book. It's not pretty easy. It's at least it's there in the book.
Right.
But I don't read the manual of any car I've ever bought. Any camera, I have to have somebody read it to me because I can't do it. So that makes it more difficult for me. But for you guys that like to read the directions, it's not that bad.
So I'll give you a great quote. This is what the rabbis tell us. God wanted to give merit to Israel. Therefore, He gave them lots of Torah and lots of commandments. And really what that means is that this multitude, seemingly, of Torah and commandments is actually all for our benefit.
Wow.
Because what it does is it gives us an opportunity in everything we do, everywhere we go, the chairs that we sit in and the cars that we drive and the people that we marry and the food that we eat and on and on. It gives us, anytime we are, an opportunity to enlighten ourselves.
Wow.
and become closer and closer to a higher reality.
So even we can look at it, the people that are probably blessed the most are the people with the biggest challenges in front of them anyway. Not just Torah, but when God gives you the opportunity to overcome even more of these challenges and to create mitzvahs out of things that are seemingly impossible to do, are probably more blessed and stronger people have the potential to be.
When you have a mitzvah and it's tough to do, more light. Right? The harder it is. Lefum tzara agra, said the sages, according to the sages. The sage I'm talking about, the great Bear Bryant, right?
Of course.
No pain, no gain.
Absolutely.
But the way the rabbi said it was, according to the pain is gain.
Is the gain.
Right? So in other words, if this is proving to be difficult, there's great reward behind that.
A lot of people need to listen to that one.
That's right. And it's to give up.
Bear Freedman knows these.
Give up those black hats and put on a little houndstooth.
Right. You got to do that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. This is good stuff. This should keep you for a week. This isn't bad. This is a good one.
That's right.
You work on a few mitzvahs, and maybe next week we'll up the ante.